Welcome to Competency 19 Quiz, Part 3 of 3, last in the series. Number 8. A once busy metropolis has seen its population decline by 6.8% per year. By January 1, 2000, the government census reported the population to be 975,000. On the same day, the City Council resolved to sell off public lands to private developers once the population reaches 700,000. However, the city planners need 15 months in advance to begin negotiations. When should the city planners begin negotiations? Okay, this word when tells me I'm dealing with time. Okay, 15 months tells me that I need to think of the compounding every 12 months. And this says decline. Okay, we can't put that in the calculator as is. And yes, I am going to use applications, the apps button on our calculator. How do I know I can do that? Because we're talking about months compounding every month. That's what's going on with this situation. You may not see it, but that's how we can put it in the calculator. That's all clues for me. Now, in decline, remember, when we're using that application, we cannot type in the decimal version. So what are we going to do here? Let me change colors. Okay, we're going to take 1 minus 0.068. That is going to give us 0.932. And if you're not sure about that, let's just pop it in real quick. 1.068, which would be the decimal version. That gives us the decimal version of what we need showing our decline. However, can't put that in the app. So times 100 real quick so you don't make a mistake. So what are we going to put in our calculator? We are going to put in 93.2. Okay. All right. Well, that's all going to be pretty decent, pretty simple. Okay. There's our present value. Here's our future value. Okay. Let's push apps. Okay. Remember, if you haven't watched me before, it's apps. It's highlighted on finance, push enter, highlighted on solver, push enter. Now, we need to start entering things. Well, we need the time. So they have a 0 there, leave the 0 as a placeholder. Push enter. And what do we need? We need 93.2 for our interest. That'll show our decline. Push enter. Now, our present value and future value are given to us. Remember, one of those must have a negative in front of it for the application to work correctly. So push negative. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it right now so I don't forget. 975, 1, 2, 3 zeros. Okay, push enter. We have no population changes. We're not adding or decreasing with some incentive for people. So leave that at 0. They don't even talk about that. So enter again, future value, no negative on it this time because we already have our negative. So that's 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Now, we have a 12 here. So we need to talk about monthly. So put a 12 in. And remember, when I push enter, the next one's done automatically. And we're talking about an ending situation when the population reaches an end of a certain amount. So leave that and highlight it. Okay, now let's go back up to our time. All right, how do we get the time that we need to calculate? What do? We push alpha, enter. There you go. And remember, ignore the negative in front of you. That's just the application doing its thing. Okay, so we have 4.43 years. Okay, we need to deal with that because look, you've got years and months. Oh, if that's 4 years, if we take 2000, let's take 2000, okay? and we subtract out or future in 4 years, looks like we have something going on. That's not going to work. Well, let me show you why. And I bet you that A isn't going to work. Okay. But I'll show you why in a second. But this is something I want to show you right now on the calculator. Okay. Let's back out of that calculator. Let's back out of the app real quick. Now I want you to go back into app. Press finance, but only enter and stop right there. Notice that number 5 deals with time. See, it's our capital N. Once you push 5 and enter, there's the value you need. But it has a negative in front of it. Not a problem. Just say times -1. And now that's what I need. Here's the deal. We need to subtract 15 months from that. Remember, they need to know 15 months before that 4.3 years. Well, this is in months, and my number is in years. How do you solve that problem? Just multiply it times 12, and you have the months. So times 12, 53 months, and a little more is what's going to happen. So what do? Subtract 15 months out of that, minus the 15 months they talk about. And there you go. This is how many months we need in order to give them fair warning so they can start their negotiation and sell some land. Okay, so that's in months, but our answer is back at years and then a month in the year. Okay, so we are going to have to, here, I'm going to get rid of the 4 here. All right. Okay, there it is. Okay, get rid of the 4. So let's do a little talking on this. Now we have to go back to years. Well, if we multiply by 12, now we have to do is divide by 12 again because we have the correct amount of time. So that means we need 3.18 years. Okay, so if we subtract the 3, or we add on, I'm sorry, if we add on plus, okay, probably screaming at me, what? That should have been plus. Okay, 3 more years. Well, that's 2003, so I was right. But 2003.18, what? Okay, how do you handle that? Easy. Subtract off the years. Well, 0.18 of a year. What do you think? How many months do you think that is? Well, it's definitely not going to be August. August occurs after half the year is over. So we're either down to February or March. How do I handle that? Well, why don't we just multiply that times 12 months out of the year? That's a little over 2 months. So when are we going to need to tell them? Probably need to tell them in February 2003. That's what I would do. Okay, number 9. In the diagram of a target shown below, well, it's to the right, each of the concentric circle numbers 10, 20, 30, 40 is 3 inches wider than the smaller ring. The bullseye worth 50 points has a 4-inch diameter. Mark is competing in the last round of an archery contest. If he scores a bullseye, he wins the contest. If he scores 20, he will place 4th in the contest. Assuming that he hits the target on the next shot, what is the probability that he will win the contest or places 4th? Okay, let me circle that or. That's very important. Now, we got a lot going on here. Okay, notice that this says diameter. That means radius equals 2. Okay, so let's start. Okay, and we're going to talk about the bullseye and the 20. Okay, so there's some things that we need to do first. Okay, that means we have a radius of 2 here, and then each of these is going to be a radius of 3. Let me get a different color. That'll be 3. It'll be added on. The difference in the radius is 3, 3, 3. Okay. So now what are we going to do? We need to list out each of these areas in terms of pi. Leave it in terms of pi. That's the way to get past this problem quickly. Okay. And actually, anything with a circle, I've discovered leaving things in terms of pi is probably best at first. Okay, we need the total. Okay, so we're going to call that t. So that means we have 12, 13, 14. So pi r squared. So that means, there we go, 14 squared. Okay, then the next thing we need, let's just do the bullseye. That's a of the 50. That's going to be pi 2 squared. Okay, now the next one would be, let's call it the colors. The blue, red, and the yellow. So let's say CL for color. That's going to be 6, 7, 8. Pi 8 squared. Now we need the 20. Okay, yeah, that's what we need. We need the 20. These are all the things that they're talking about, which would be 9, 10, 11. 11 squared. If you can read my handwriting. Actually, I can do better than that. If my, there we go. Technology again. All right, not a big deal. There, that's better. Okay, so let's section this off. These are all the elements that we need. Now we need to talk about setup. What do we need as a setup? Well, let's talk about our OR. We're going to have part over total. Which parts, which totals? Okay, that means we're going to have two probabilities. We're going to add them together. And our two probabilities are the 20 and the bullseye. Okay, we can do the bullseye first, part out of total. What's our part? What's our total? So the bullseye is pi 2 squared over the total, which is pi what? 14 squared. Okay, then we're going to add that to our next probability, which is for the 20, the scoring at 20. Well, that's just a ring on its own. So we're going to have to calculate that off to the side. But let's go ahead and say pi 14 squared as our total. Now we have it all set up. We just need to go over here and calculate our part of that. Okay, so how do we calculate that? Well, that is the area of the 20, the entire 20 that we have over here already calculated, minus the color zone, what we call the colors, the CL. Okay, so that actually is going to equal pi 11 squared minus all the colors. So that's pi 8 squared. Now, how am I going to deal with this? I'm going to take out the pi, and I'm going to say 11 minus 8 squared. Okay, and what is that going to equal? I already have that calculated, but we can do that in the calculator. Let's pop it in real quick. Not a big deal. That is 11 squared minus the 8 squared, 57. Oh, not just 57. Remember, what is it? Pi, or 57 pi. Okay, I'll just write it like that. 57 pi. That's fine. I can turn it around when I write it down here. Okay, pi 57. And I'm writing that for a reason, the way I am. Okay, so let's change colors. Go back to that blue. That means this cancels, and this cancels, and this cancels, and that cancels. We're going to have some more canceling happening here. Okay, you can do this. This point, you can do it on the, use your calculator. But we're going to have 4 over 14 squared. Oh, well, if my computer will work. Okay, then we're going to add that to 57 over the 14 squared. Well, obviously, that's 4 plus 57 over the 14 squared. You don't have to do all this handwork. You could have just popped that all in your calculator, bam, and be done. But that's okay. So I'm just going to do parentheses and divide it out real quick. So 4 plus the 57, push divide, and then 14 squared, enter. Oh, it's D. There we go. And we're done. Okay. Number 10, Shelby has been offered a sales position with a pharmaceutical company. There are 2 different 3-year packages to consider. Package A, annual salary of 100,000 plus an increased base salary, okay, on it based on an annual inflation rate of 2.1. Well, when we actually go to compute that, that needs to be 1.21. Okay, I'll go ahead and write that down. Now, package B, that's going to be an annual salary of 60,000, but plus a commission with the 5%, and that is going to be 0.05. Okay. Now, let's talk about the commission. Sales are projected to be 1,200,000 during the first year, but will decrease. Okay, that's decreases by 1.5 per year for the following 2 years. Which of the following is the best approximation of the difference in total compensation for these 2 packages? So we have to calculate the 2 packages, subtract, and see which option we have. Okay, let's go ahead and write this in a usable form, which is 1 minus 0.015, which will give us, so put that in the calculator. Don't try to do all this in your head. Remember, you're taking a test. Brain power is important. Don't get tired. Okay, this is how we need to put it into our calculations. Okay, now here's the deal. You're going to go to package A and you're going to tell yourself, well, I could just go over to my apps and use my apps that we did in prior numbers. No. And you can't use a simple interest formula either for this. If you do, all that's going to happen is you're going to get a lesser number. And when you go to subtract, nothing's going to make sense. Okay. So we have to calculate year by year, add it up, pop it in the calculator, and we'll get an answer. And it'll be fun. Okay. So what do we need to do here? Year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Annual salary as is. No increase. Year 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times the increase. 1.021. Okay. That's year 1, year 2. Year 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, here's the difference. You will get an increase. That's the first increase. But you have to multiply all of that times another increase. So you're really squaring that increase, okay? We have this increase. Then we have to multiply it times another increase. Well, that's the second power. And then if that was to continue for other years, of course, you're going to renegotiate this package after. But anyway, if they said, okay, we're just going to continue giving you an increase, well, it's an idea. Okay, so now that's what we're going to put in our calculator. We're not going to do it right now, but all of that will equal our answer. Okay, now let's talk about package B. Right up front, no matter what, you get 3 years with the $60,000. And that means that you're going to get 3 times 6 is 18, 180,000. That's base. That's your baseline, but then plus commission. So now we're going to calculate the commission. Okay? So we have year 1 being, 1 million, and we have 100, 1, 2, 3. Okay, yes. Okay, now that is just in the first year, that's just times your 5%. Okay? Calculate that in a minute. That's year 1. Year 2. Okay? What do you do for year 2? You're going to, now we have an issue. We are going to have to decrease that by this value. Okay, oh no. Lovely. Let's back that up. Okay, or erase it. Okay, there it goes. All right, good. Now let's do it. There it is. Okay. That is, remember, we already calculated the decrease. So taking consideration, and that's what we're doing. I mean, you could calculate it just by putting in the 1 minus whatever. Either way, but this is easier to see, okay? So let's go with year 2. We have to decrease the sales first, then multiply times the 5%. Remember, it's decreasing first from the prior year. Okay, so what are we going to do here? We're going to take this value, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, times the decreasing amount first, 9, 8, 5, then times the 5%. Okay, on year 3, what are we doing? On year 3, we are going to take a decrease of our decrease and then times the 5%. So how can we handle that? Easy. That will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times the decrease, but to the second power. Okay? Then we can take our 5%. Okay? So see what's happening. Year 1, as is. That's like saying to the 0 power. And then year 2, that's like saying to the first power. Year 3 to the second power. It has the same pattern as above. Okay, and if you remember the topic of Competency 19 was supposed to be seeing, connections in mathematics. Well, that's basically what we're doing. They're connected. Okay, let's get all these values and figure this out. So let's put in package A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now times, we're going to, in parentheses, just as we wrote it out, 1.012. Okay, now add our 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, times 1.010. Okay, remember, it's to the second power. Okay, I did carry it up. You could have pushed the x squared over here. Either way, same thing. Let's push enter. And it is correct. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, it's a lot to keep up with. I actually have ran into this kind of a question on a practice test. So Just be ready to set aside some time. Okay, so we have that value. Now, let's calculate these and we can add them all up, okay? So let's do this. We have 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is just times 0.05. Okay, and that gets us that's actually 60,000 again. Okay. All right. Now, so for the first year, you double your money. That's kind of nice. Okay, so let's put this next one in. Well, actually, yeah, we need to put the next one in. So that's going to be 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Now we have to multiply times our decreasing percentage, 0.985. Okay. All right. I didn't put parentheses around that, so I'm going to push. No, actually, I don't have to. Everything's just multiplied together. What am I thinking? Times 0.05. And that is the correct value. There we go. That is 59100. Okay. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to be tricky. I am not going to. I refuse to type all this in again. I'm going to go up. I'm going to grab that. Okay. And go back down. Push enter. Oh no. There it is. Okay. Sorry about that. I don't want to push enter. I want to leave it like it is because I want to recalculate it. Okay. So what am I doing here? I could just go back. Let's just do that. I'm going to square this times 0.05. There it is. Exactly like we have it. Push enter. And that is the correct value. 58213.5. Okay. Now, I'm going to be very lazy. I need to add all four of those together to get my actual value that I need. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go and grab each of them one at a time. So let's go back up to, well, let's just type in the 18,000 because I have to because I don't have that in my calculator. 1, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I have that one. Now, plus, I need these three values. Okay, let's go get the 60. Push enter, brings it right down. I'm going to go get, that's year 1. Year 2, uh-oh, it'd help if I push plus. Plus, go back up, don't type over it, just put it in. Okay, actually, I can delete those out. There we go. So that's base salary. Uh-oh, is my base salary too big? Yes, it is. Too many zeros, I think. No? 18. No, that's right. That's right. That's right. Okay, good. Push plus. Year 1, year 2, we need year 3 above. There we go. So the base salary, year 1, year 2, year 3, push enter. And there it is. Everything I need. Okay, so now I'm not even going to bother to write that down at this point. Okay, I am just going to push minus. And I could go back up and capture that. Let's do that. Or I could just type it in like I see it. Let's go see if we can find it. Okay. That's 306. Where is that? Oh, there it is. That's not a big deal. Push enter. Okay. So what we had is the prior answer to package A minus what we have for package B. All right. Press enter. Oh, and that is correct. Now look at how they rounded it. And they didn't even tell us what they were going to do to round. Doesn't matter. We have a value. A is the option. Okay. Like I warned you when we first started, this is intense, but you can pause this, come back, write it out, calculate it other ways, and get this straight in your own mind how to deal with one of these questions. Okay. That's the last question in our series for this Competency 19 quiz. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, subscribe, share us, and like us. Thank you.